Welcome back. In this video we are going to learn how to create a route and make our selected boat follow that path. We are starting from the same scenery created in the last tutorial, and we have Sailboat 3 selected. Move the mouse pointer to the control panel and select the Map tab. 10 terrains will show as small green squares. You are at the center terrain. Check Show More Detail and Markers on. You can zoom in and out for better clarity. The lighter gray areas are shallower than darker gray. Red area is land above water. You are going to add buoys or markers on the gray area. Darker and black areas are deeper. Select the checkbox used to add markers. Click on the map on the locations where you want your markers. They will be labeled sequentially 1, 2, 3, etc. Of course, try not to have red areas of land between consecutive points or you will for sure be grounded. You can add as many markers as you want. If later on you find that a marker is at a spot that is too shallow, you can move it as you move any other object. Now assign this route to the selected boat by pressing the Assign button. Sailboat 3 is now programmed to follow that route starting with marker number 1. Notice that the program added cones at the corresponding locations and are now labeled as expected 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, my mistake. I didn't really press the Assign button earlier. I will do it now. That's it. All I have to do now is to finally press the Start Assigned Route button and we are done. The sailboat's autopilot is now trying to head to marker 1. But of course it can't because it is docked and the engine and sails are off. I started the engine by pressing E. Notice how the autopilot is trying to steer the boat to the right. Throttle up. And please don't forget to raise the anchor using Ctrl A, or you will end up in an embarrassing situation. Time to hoist the sails. J for jib and M for main. The sailboat is already heading for marker number 1. Notice the shallow alarm warning, but we are still okay at a depth of about 35 feet. We will keep an eye on the sonar depth shown at the shallow warning label. I am not steering the boat. It is controlled by the autopilot. I'm going to turn on auto sail using Ctrl S so I don't have to worry about adjusting the sails. But of course, if you are a hardcore sailor, you may want to control everything manually. We keep heading towards marker cone number 1. Notice that you can always override the autopilot using the A and D keys. The autopilot will fight you a little and keeps trying to steer towards number 1. The wind is coming from straight ahead, so I may have to zigzag a little. Or maybe not. We'll talk more about zigzagging later in this video. Just looking at the wind direction indicator. Alright, we made it to marker number 1. The autopilot switches automatically to marker number 2. You are close enough to the marker if you are within 1.5 boat lengths. One important point is that anytime you come off the sailboat, like now, by hitting fly mode, the autopilot and autosail will always turn on or remain on. So, as an example, Let's fly and take control of that sailboat in front of us and see what happens. Press O to get on board. Now we can have control, but the autopilot and auto sail of the sailboat are still on and following its own route. But those marker cones that are visible still belong to the other sailboat that we programmed earlier. If I want to see where my newly occupied boat is going, I need to clear those cones and place them again for the current route. It's important to point that clearing the markers does not clear the corresponding route. It just means that you don't see any cones, like right now. But sailboat 3 is still following the now invisible route. Now I can place the marker cones for this particular sailboat, so we can see them. Looks like we are heading to marker number 3. Sailboat 3 is still following the other route. Now let's say that wanted to program Bow Chica with the same route as Sailboat 3. I would first have to switch back to Sailboat 3, place the marker cones, and then switch to Bow Chica. Let's do that. Clear the current markers, if there are any, and place the ones for this boat by hitting the corresponding button. Look, we are close to marker number 2. Now heading to 3. Now I switch to Bow Chica. Raise the anchor and start the engine. And start throttling up. Pretty day today in Archipelago. Hoist the sails. You know how. Assign the current markers and start following this route. Now this route is shared by both Sailboat 3 and Bow Chica. How lucky are we? Some dolphins are going by. And they are gone. Lots of shallow areas in this particularly unique terrain that we created. I say unique because, in Archipelago Sim, all terrain is created randomly so they never repeat. At least up to this version. Now you can see how you can create a race between you, the pilot of this boat, and the computer, the pilot of all other boats. When you have a lot of traffic, it is inevitable there is always the possibility of collisions. These two are going almost head-on. That horn is pretty good indication of trouble. But because I am in fly mode, both boats are in control by the AI and will avoid collision. But that is not the case when you are in control. As the captain of your ship, you must avoid the collision unless you have the right of way. He is a much bigger boat and I must avoid it. I should not cross in front of him, so I will go behind. I temporarily turned off the autopilot so it won't fight me. There was a fishing boat in the vicinity. That was probably the reason for that angry horn we heard. It was not us. And he crossed in front of the blue nose. You need to keep your eyes open and keep watching all around you, or you will crash. Don't worry, nothing will happen to you personally. You may have noticed that I have auto sail turned on. What can I say? I was feeling a little lazy when recording this video. This situation brings us to a new subject: how to sail upwind. I am doing only about 2 knots and could eventually stop if I don't act soon. The blue nose seems to be zigzagging. I should do the same, or we will never get to that marker number 6 in front of us. Now I am picking up speed nicely. I was getting a little too close to the shore. Time to do the zag part of the zigzag. But then again, be nice and don't cross in front of that big guy. We are at a safe distance. You get the idea. By zigzagging at about 45 degrees of your upwind destination, you will eventually get there. We have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope it helped. Happy sailing and Godspeed. Yes, sir. My captain.